How is it going, Star Wars fans? We are back with some Star Wars retro action. This is the final week of the final event of the 2024 Retro League. This is in the format Premiere to Reflections 2 Modified, which, same as last year, is Premiere to Reflections 2 with the objectives Watch Your Step and Agents of the Black Sun being banned. This really does change the meta quite a bit, particularly on light side. With Watch Your Step being a deck, there would be a lot of people playing Watch Your Step, and therefore Dark Side, and it's a very good deck. And so Dark Side then ends up having to, every deck needs to have an answer for Watch Your Step. And we saw something like that happen in the classic Novi annual event, where a lot of light side decks were Watch Your Step, and the dark side decks were all decks that could beat Watch Your Step. And there was, of course, other decks, and people tried to counter the counter meta. So it was a lot of little not rock paper scissors, but people trying to meta game. So that was interesting. But now without Watch Your Step, light side has to play other options. Dark side then is free to not worry about Watch Your Step. Of course, Agents of the Black Sun, not being a deck, I don't think is as impactful, at least at the lower to mid-level tier of players, I'll say. It's a harder deck to play. So not much will change at those levels, but then it allows Dark Side to not have to worry about Watch Your Step, and so decks like My Kind of Scum become extremely powerful, and so light side then has to answer that. But Hunt Down is also a really strong deck, and it's hard to have a good light side deck that can beat both. So it's just an interesting meta. I think a lot of people like it or prefer it more to just standard Premiere Reflections 2. I'm kind of undecided. I like both of them. I think they're both pretty good in their own rights. I do like Watch Your Step. I do like Agents of the Black Sun. So while we're waiting for the game to kick off, we'll just go ahead and check the standings right now in the 2024 league. The two remaining undefeated players are Johnny Chu, Mr. Yellow, who's going to be playing very soon, and Joe Horby. How did we get into this mess? Both 5-0. Joe is playing tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific against Ian or C-Sticks down here, who is 4-1. And so Johnny Chu going to be playing Dr. Torch, who's 4-1. And if both of these guys win, I think there will be a playoff single match play against the two, with the winner or whoever has a higher strength of schedule choosing the side. If only one person wins, obviously they'll go on to win the tournament. And then I think strength of schedule will determine who's second place and third place, etc. But if they both lose, I'm not actually sure what's going to happen, because we've never had that situation that I can think of where there's been no undefeated players. And lately we've been doing this kind of playoff at the end if there's a tie for the top table. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if both Joe and Johnny lose. But we wish everyone playing best of luck as we wait for them to start here. It's been a good retro league this year, 2024. I think I made top 8 overall. At least I hope so. I think so. At least if I'm doing the math correctly. So, following this, there will be a retro online championship series, I think it's called, which is similar to, I believe, the Open Championship Series. Maybe I'm wrong, but basically the top 8 overall for the Retro League will do a top 8 match play playoff. So the top 4 will be paired off against the bottom 4, and then it'll be, you'll have to lock in your decks, and it'll be match play to single elimination to the end of the championship. The format, though, is not decided yet. And the way we're deciding the format is there will be a vote from the top 8 players where the first place has the highest weighted vote. I think they have 8 points or 8 8 vote points. Second place has 7. Third place has 6, etc. And so the top few players will have the highest influence on the vote. And I think the choices and formats are Premier to Hoth, Premier to Death Star 2, and Premier to Reflections 2 modified, if I remember correctly. And that information is, of course, on the forums. Maybe we'll just take a quick look at that. Just to show you guys. So that'll be very exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so the first retro online championship series. Yeah, so the formats are going to be Premier to Hoth, Premier to Death Star 2, or Premier Reflections 2 modified. What's up, Carter? How's it going, man? So that'll be exciting. Top 8, I believe. Let's go ahead and look at the standings. Double check they haven't started yet. So currently, where are we? 2024 Retro League. I don't know where this. Oh, here we go. Cumulative standings. So, Dr. Torch, Paul, Todd, Feldman already won cumulatively the 2024 Retro League for the 3rd time in a row. So, congrats, Paul. And then, let's see, Timo Dussel, I think he went 4-2, but he's high enough that he's still going to be in. Joe Horby, of course, could still win this. And how's it going? Let's see. So Joe Horby could win this and move up above Timo. I think actually he's going to move above Timo anyways, because he's at worst 5-1 and Timo went 4-2. So it'll probably be like Joe or Paul, then Joe. Timo might be tied with Brad Kipple. I think Brad Kipple went 5-1. So Timo and Brad will be tied. I think, let's see, MW Fent. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's a different one. So MW Fent went 3-2. So he's still going to play, but he's at least 4-2. I went 5-1, so I'll be in 5th, I think, and then Will and Teacher, I'm not sure how they did. So be interesting to see who the other players are going to be in. So I think the top 5 are locked in, and then the bottom 3 are still kind of up for grabs of who's going to be, how those guys did, because it's pretty tight. Again, if you look at the standings, any of these players who have one more win above the other, it could shift very, very rapidly. So looking forward to that. That'll be fun. The games will be streamed, very similar to the annual event where every single game, every single match will be streamed. So that'll be exciting. And then the winner of that, there's cool prizes for that as well. So if you missed out on a chance for that or missed out on the Retro League, there, at least I hope, will be a 2025 Retro League. Hopefully do the same championship series. That seems like it's kind of fun, and it further incentivizes you to play all of the events, because someone who wins an event but only plays 4 of the 5 events, you could still beat them overall if you do pretty well in all 5 events. So pretty exciting. Should be kicking off pretty shortly here. I'm looking forward to that, and I think there's going to be some in-person tournaments coming up soon. I believe there's going to be something in Vegas for the Scarif, something about the Scarif Regionals, and I believe they're talking about having a retro component to that, or maybe like a retro event one of those days. So I might actually go to that if I can get some time away. That would be pretty fun. It's not often that you play Star Wars CCG in person, and even more rare to play retro. Yeah, so Carter, I believe there's not a lot of info on the forums. There's more info on the Slack, but it's the Scarif event. It is, I believe, January 10th to the 12th. Let's see, Scarif. Somewhere it is. I don't know where it is. Upcoming events, maybe. I don't go on the forums too much. So, oh, here we go, right here. Las Vegas Grand Prix. Oh, even better. Okay, so there's only hotel info, but on the Slack, it was said that there may be a retro component. I don't play open, so let me just, yeah, you guys, yeah, go ahead, guys. Go ahead, guys. Good luck. All right, so we're going to get started here pretty soon. Table is up. Mr. Yellow, Johnny Chu, light side. And both of these guys, very good players in their own right. Almost don't even need any introduction for either of them. I'm still somewhat of a newer player, so I got to know who these people were recently, or at least semi-recently. But yeah, Johnny Chu, very strong player for a long time. Same with Todd Feldman, Dr. Torch. So I'm excited to be able to stream these, commentate on these guys' games, because we're gonna see some very high-level play here. So very excited, looking forward to that as we wait for Paul to accept the table. Yeah, Carter, if you end up going, I'm thinking of going, and the table's up. And so that'll be exciting. So good luck to both players, and we're off. So DR Torch, set your course against Throne Room. Okay, so very interesting already. Set your course. There's kind of several ways you can take it. There's, of course, playing the actual objective, which nobody does, and I would bet a ton of money that Paul's not doing that. The two real ways you can do it are Brangus, of course. Brangus Superstar, you can play it that way. Or you can also play Scum 2K, which just uses the objective as an activation platform, and then plays cards like you play the Audience Chamber, the Jabba's Palace, I believe, and then you play Scum and Villainy with Aliens. So we see Paul coming out here with Sense Alter Protection, Mobilization Points, and You Cannot Hide Forever, which is Numbers Protection, or he's going to use that to pitch to something. So Johnny Chu here, starting Throne Room Mains, 3 effect start with Insurrection, Staging Areas, and Aim High. So he's looking to do things at docking bays, Aim High for to punish the retrieval from Paul, most likely, and of course Insurrection to pull the docking bays. Paul not starting Insurrection tells me that he's probably playing some form of maybe Brangus. Brangus generally won't run Insurrection, although there is a version of it that Paul plays that does run Insurrection. And so we see pretty strong opening hand from Johnny. Oh, he's going right away to the docking bay. Okay. So Johnny pulling at least 1 Twix here and 1 docking bay in hand, and then with Staging Areas immediately having strong activation of 10 as he comes right down to the docking bay. Coming down to the Death Star, of course, against Set Your Course can be risky because of the objective saying that your battle damage is canceled at the Death Star. So he won't be overflowing Paul here at the Death Star. He can kill characters that are at the Death Star with attrition and weapon swings, but won't be doing any battle damage. So an aggressive, you might call it a risky play, but definitely an aggressive start by Johnny. So things that Johnny is probably playing in this deck, if it's a straight up Throne Room, which looks like it might be, and especially with something like the Home 1 War Room, might be something like Home 1, a Super Home 1 we see recently. In fact, my 5th game, my opponent played a Throne Room like this, but he had Super Home 1 at Kessel and Anger, Fear, Aggression, the inserts. And that's a very strong deck, especially if you don't have the answers for the inserts. Basically, you're taking you're taking damage from the inserts while you set up Super Home 1, and then you drop that at Kessel, and now you're getting drained for 4. And then, of course, you'll probably run all the mains. Projective Telepathy to make Johnny spend a little bit of force. This is one, of course, the answers to Anger, Fear, Aggression. Cancel Anger, Fear, Aggression, and it's a used. And so he loses a Dreadnought from hand. So Dreadnought likely indicates some sort of a space package. Wakilimu Yeah, interesting start here. Typically, Brangus will start with Keely Moo and run the tie, the two ties, the Emperor Sword and Shield with retrieval. So yeah, Paul just looks like he just drew up, I guess. He deployed Dread Imperial Starfleet and drew up. So he's playing this, probably some sort of ties, is what usually this screams. And Wakili Mu is another tell for ties, maybe. And then Dreadnoughts, of course, play well with ties because you can move them around. So Johnny dropping another Docking Bay Battleground. He probably runs, I would guess, maybe a Tatooine Docking Bay as well, and Beggar. I've seen this form of throne room play. And then he just draws up and saves 2. He's playing all the card I play in my tie deck. Yeah, so those of you who are familiar with tie decks, Wakili Mu, Dreaded Imperial Starfleet, Dreadnoughts, all telltale signs of some sort of tie swarm deck, potentially. And Dr. Torch playing a Monarch, maybe to see what he's dealing with, to catch any... okay, so there is Anger for Aggression. Very likely, very similar deck to what my opponent played against me, which is just Throne Room Mains, 3 effect start, staging areas, Super Home 1, and Anger for Aggression. In fact, he does have Home 1 because of Major Hashin and Admiral Akbar. He's playing all of the, good Rebels, Grimtash. Of course, this is kind of interesting. Playing Yavin 4 Docking Bay, that's not something that is always played. Unita, a new edition of this format from post-premiere to Death Star 2, which is a good card. So yeah, the Yavin 4 Docking Bay is kind of interesting. It means he has several Battleground Docking Bays. That's not usually one that you play unless you really want to have a lot of docking bays to go on the ground. And it looks like he's got mains, a lot of mains. It's not necessarily speeders, which we've seen Johnny play in the past. So I'm thinking just, docking bays, Home 1, there's probably a Kessel in there, and there it is, Anger, Fear, Aggression. So Paul used Projective, okay. I was going to say he used a Projective Telepathy on the drain, which means he probably had another one in hand, otherwise why do it? And so that answers that. He did have another one in hand. He didn't want to lose both of them to a Grimtash. And Johnny was not able to grab it, so Paul will be able to find that again and protect himself from Anger, Fear, Aggression. And Johnny uses Unita to get back the Anger, Fear. And Johnny deploys Farm Boy Luke, which he can use to Persona replace to get the Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. So you basically deploy this guy for 3, much cheaper, and then you just Persona replace him if you want. Now Paul pitches You Cannot, which is numbers protection, because at this point Johnny has played, his characters have Destiny 3, which probably means he's not playing numbers. And so he doesn't need that, so Paul pitches that for something better, Battle Order in this case, to slow Johnny down maybe. But right now, Paul needs to find his projectives and stop the Anger, Fear, Aggressions, because that damage can really stack up. Although Johnny is giving him the ability to battle him, and that's kind of interesting. He knows what's in his hand, so he knows what else was in there. Let's see. There wasn't anything like a... What's it called? There wasn't any Rebel Barrier. There wasn't any... That's an interesting move. So there wasn't any Fallen Portal. I might almost deploy it here, Brangus here, and then just battle him to get rid of Milos, because, yeah, you run the risk of him drawing greater than 3, so maybe that's not a good move, but Brangus is at least safe here. Johnny does have Corn Horn, we saw that, so he could come down and still hit Brangus. He does use Brangus to get back numbers protection just in case. Probably not a bad idea. It also makes the Jedi easier to hit. Defense value -1. So I would anticipate, and he draws up. So I would anticipate, yeah, that's an interesting. I might have saved a force there because he has Corn Horn. I think Corn Horn is coming down against Brangus. This does look, of course, like a form of Brangus with ties, something like that. It looks like he did change it up from tie speeders. Looks like it's just Throne Room Mains, Super Home 1 with AFA. And we did see his hand. It was just mains, mains and probably Super Home 1. He doesn't have Sense Ultra Protection or free grabbers. So Brangus could run wild here, depending what Paul is playing. Paul, of course, gets Grimtashed by Johnny and grabs it immediately. We did, I forgot to mention also, we saw that Paul lost. Yep, there's Corn down to Brangus. We saw Paul lose the tie cannons from top of the reserve deck a while back. This is most certainly some form of tieback. Okay, so he's going to get 2 Battle Destiny when he battles here, which means that Brangus will probably have his immunity cracked, and he'll have the Battle Destiny from Paul will be canceled by Wedge. So Brangus will probably die here. Yeah, I mean, it's what I'd expect to happen. I would have bluffed maybe a 1 here. I don't know. It depends what's in his hand, I guess. And especially with the one, because if you come here, then maybe and kill Milos, then maybe the 1 Battle Destiny he draws is less than 3. But here it's very good odds that he will crack his immunity, and he inserts another Anger, Fear, Aggression. So I assume here, yeah, he's going to battle, and then he probably just draws up very high. I'd imagine he draws everything but like 1. Okay, I mean, he might not. There's a chance, Throne Room Mains does run a lot of low Destiny cards. A lot of zeros. But then he cracks it with the 5. Okay. So Brangus will die. This will get canceled by Wedge. So Johnny is definitely putting a lot of pressure very quickly to Paul. And yeah, I expect Johnny will just draw very high here. Yeah, he just goes right past. Especially we just saw Torch used a Monarch lost. I think Johnny just draws everything. Except 1. Oh, 2, okay. And Torch is also force choked a fair amount as well. He's getting activated only half the activation. So Staging Area is doing a lot of work here. No escapes Brangus back. Okay. Yeah, the force choke is really hurting here because what he could do is drop Brangus and somebody else down to the docking bay and then try to get that back and then re-get mod points or reactivate mod points so he gets some. That would be what I would try to do. Or you kill Luke somehow and then you activate Coward and turn off this drain. But like a nice ideal play would be like EPP Vader come here, chop up Mirax, and then kill Milos. And now you turn off this drain, and now you have your docking bay back. But it's hard to do that with 9 Force. Like him and Brangus would have been good together. Yeah. Still not over yet, though. He could, oh, that's interesting. You don't see that very often. So this is the light side version of Search and Destroy. So he does want to be living at the docking bays with his mains. That's a very interesting deck. You don't see that card very often because Dark Side is very strong on the ground, generally speaking, at least in this format. And so usually they're going to satisfy that anyways. In fact, Dark Side runs Search and Destroy all the time. So it's interesting that he went with that. Okay, so control tunnel vision to find what he needs. I imagine he's trying to find, set up home 1 and Kessel. So we see the Drain of 2 getting canceled by control set for stun. Now we're going to see a Drain of 1 and 1. Works with the unique ones, unlike the light side. Yeah, I mean, but nobody's playing that deck in this format. But like, Dark Side runs Vader, Dark Side runs Mara. All those cards are gonna, and I mean, I don't know. Light side or Dark Side sometimes will only stack at one side, but it's not hard for them to control 2 locations. And Light Side is kind of at a disadvantage because one of their best decks is Hidden Base, and you got to deal with Search and Destroy. So we see Boskin Houndstooth's lost from hand. Paul also drawing past 12, grabs Grimtash, so it feels like another Grimtash is unlikely or just doesn't care. In a situation like this, you pretty much just have to, if you have an answer or you have an answer in your deck and you're going to lose without it, you just have to draw. You have to find it. Otherwise you lose. And here comes Search and Destroy. Or whatever it's called. I hope she's alright. So a lot of pressure. Hoo-hoo, that sucks. This is rough because now EPP Vader, EPP Vader comes down for 8. I mean, Security Precaution sucks too, but they're both very good against Hidden Base. So now Paul, this is basically saying you are on a clock, you don't have time to just craft the perfect hand, you have to do something. And now Paul's losing 6 a turn, every 2 turns. Or every, light side, dark side turn. And so this could be tricky because Paul's showing all signs of a space deck. And he might still have some good ground, so he might be able to, EPP Vader here, or let's see, what's their forfeits? 9 so a 6 clears the site if he can track that, and then EPP Vader could kill that. So he could still come back with just 2 characters. Of course, you run the risk of Fallen Portal, Barrier, all those things, but if he clears, let's say he knows where 6 is, drops Shizor, clears this site, doesn't lose Shizor, that kills I Hope She's Alright. So he's still, and then it turns off this drain. It's still very possible to stabilize here. But he has to kind of do it fast now. And he doesn't really have a way to track anything. Unless he's been tracking for a while. He put a 5 down. You really want... Does a 5 clear? No. If you can clear one of these sites, then you're in a much better position. Yeah, so one thing he could do is, Sinar. If it's me, I'm dropping, you drop the Emperor's Shield here and just battle. Of course, you could get barriered. But you just battle. Retrieve. And then you turn on your drain, but he's force choked. Johnny's activating 20. Okay, so yeah, so Emperor's Sword, retrieve 3 is going to battle here. Let's see if he has first strike. He pays for the retrieval. He can still battle. I mean, I would battle, I guess. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you don't because there's no first strike, draw the fire out. If there was first strike here, you battle. Interesting. And he lets him revert. Yeah, so I think maybe he was thinking the exact same thing I was thinking, because that's one way to you can retrieve. Brangus. Interesting. Okay. What's he gonna do with Brangus? If it's the 6, that's very interesting. Yeah. So Gunite, of course, hurting. Put all sections on to get the 2 back. I wonder if he knows what this card is. Gets his docking base back. Unfortunately, these guys are not rebels, so put all sections doesn't work on them. Otherwise, he could then battle with no threat of anything. I mean, he just sits there. But does Johnny know what those 2 cards were? Does he know what that bottom card is? I mean, if it's a 3, Brangus is dead. So it's... Yeah, I think Paul needs to find an answer here. He needs to clear the site. Light side aliens are pretty good in this format. Yeah, definitely. Mirix Terex is fantastic. Lando with Vibroax is great. Who else is there? Of course, there's Twaska, Milos, those guys. So he loses another Brangus Glee and the other TIE cannons. And now he's getting drained for 2 over here. Luke with lightsaber. Very interesting that he didn't play the other Luke on top of this. Maybe he just every single force trying to save it, or if this guy dies, then he's got the other Luke to come down. Yeah, the Raltier, or what's it called? The Bronze Bird. Yeah, Hark Scarif is good. Raltier Freighter, not Raltier Freighter captains. What are those guys that add destiny with the skiffs? I don't remember. So Leia coming down. Oh, interesting. Okay, swapping over the saber. Get the others. Oh, that sucks. So this is going to be tough to break here, especially if he's a space heavy deck, which I think he is. So we'll just see what Johnny's destiny is. It's a 5. Okay, so Brangus is dead. We'll see if he has a Palace Raiders. There you go. There's the 6. So he's gonna clear 1. Probably Akbar. No battle damage. Yeah, I'm not sure about the Brangus. I mean, Brangus had nowhere to go, unfortunately, but I mean, maybe he got 2 cards back for 2, or now he's losing force. It also, I guess, turned off 1 damage from Search and Destroy. So Paul loses that all damage from hand. Yeah, and then AFA pops. Let's see if he found his projective. If he didn't find his projective, this is looking very, very bad. And he does not have it. Okay. Well, he's got to come down. I think you have drop somebody here in battle. You have to. If you have first strike, great. But somebody has to come down. I got to imagine Johnny, though, at this point probably has a barrier. But I mean, he's got to be deploying guys too for. So here's Mirajek. Yep, satisfy civil disorder. Because if he doesn't deploy and doesn't battle, now he takes 6, and then of course with search and destroy, so 7. Yeah, well, so Brangus like doesn't spread out very often. Usually they like to live at the Death Star, but Johnny didn't really give him a chance to do that. And this isn't your typical Brangus deck either. You do see more systems come out. Yeah, so I think Paul will battle here, which satisfies civil disorder, and what's it called? Anger, fear, aggression. And he'll probably lose Mirajek here. Again, no battle damage from the objective. So this is just a safe battle. Stacks to 6. Yeah, the alien's doing a lot of work here, allowing him to draw Battle Destiny. And it's a 6, doesn't really matter. But now he knows where 6 is. And a 5. With no first strike, this isn't a winning game. No, I mean, it's not a winning game, mind. You have to do it, though. Otherwise, you lose 6 force. If first strike is out, the entire game is different. Because then you battle with Brangus when you drop them down. Then you can just suicide guys here at the docking bay. You drop the tie, battle with the tie. Yeah, this is. Yeah, he had to deploy somebody and had to battle because he didn't have his projective. A lot of people, I think, playing Anger, Fear, Aggression this go around. Very strong card if you don't have the answers to it. But Paul actually not taking any damage from it yet. So we know the bottom 2 cards of Johnny's deck. So I'm paying attention. And now, so he draws something, pays 3, so now we know the 3rd and 4th card. Projective Telepathy. Again, probably likely that he had 2 in his hand, otherwise you save it, because there's Anger, Fear, Aggression. Losing his space, so Paul's losing all his space, doesn't want to... It's very interesting. Security precautions would have helped a long time ago with activation. Still getting out-activated. Reactor terminal, this is looking not good. Paul taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 total if he doesn't do anything. Yeah, I mean, but he's running out of time. Like he doesn't really have anything tracked, and Johnny at this point probably has most of the cards he needs. Order to engage, so barrier now becomes a threat. So I mean, he could activate trigger, anger, fear, aggression, drops 1 guy down, barrier, and now he loses 7 force. And then, I mean, he's probably going to come down. Overload from hand. See, the problem is he doesn't have anything tracked. And there's anger, fear, aggression. So, projective, nice. Yeah, I don't think he's... I mean, he's trying to do something, but I'm not sure what. This is the easiest site to kill, obviously. Like, EPP Vader, no problem. Kills this. So now it comes down. Now he's starting to retrieve and do damage. Aim high, putting in work. Gets projective back. Yeah, I wonder how many AFAs Johnny's running. Anything from 1 to 4 would be my guess. I think we know he has 2. I think so. 2 to 4 is my guess. Yeah, Gunite can definitely cause some issues, and it has been, especially with the force choke. Throne Room doesn't give them that many icons. In fact, he's only given them 1 icon. And not satisfying mob points also really limiting the activation here. So Johnny activates everything. I think at this point Johnny just races, just plays it safe, and makes sure he has an answer for anything. Like again, EPP Vader is a threat to here. But Paul doesn't really have anything tracked. I mean, now he kind of does with when he retrieved. But without Janice, with your deck being constantly shuffled with AFAs, loses blast door controls. If he's losing blast door controls, it's from hand, with barrier being a very big threat. I'm not sure. And he lost reactor terminal, so I don't know that if he's even playing Janice in this deck. Those are the best ways to track outside of used interrupts. Okay, I bet you here comes home 1. So first off is the Nesby coming down for 1, home 1 coming down for 8, and now he's just going to be draining him for 1, but more importantly satisfies battle order. And Paul doesn't satisfy battle order, so he can drain for 2, but it's going to cost 3. And another anger, fear, aggression. Paul knew where one of his projectives was, but now he doesn't. And we'll see if he has one in... Well, he doesn't have one in his hand, so... I don't know. You just take a risk, I guess. Or maybe he's got a guy in hand that he can come down with. Anger, fear, aggression, like I said, it's a nasty card if you don't have the answers. And even if you do have the answers, it's a nasty card. There's that. And he has to battle here again. I mean, you got to come down with civil disorder. And here's the risk now with losing blast door controls, because he doesn't have a lot of force, doesn't have a lot of cards in hand. Let's say he has 1 character in hand and he drops him, barriered. Now, yeah, you satisfy civil, but again, you take 7 damage. Yeah. This is bad. Okay, yep. Let's see if it gets barriered. Okay. And there's the barrier. So, I mean, I hope these were... Yeah, I don't know. See, that's... Now he's going to lose 7 force. There's no way he has... Unless he's got another 2-cost guy. Maybe Ozzel? Piet? Oh, Piet's what, 3? That's going to be 7 because... Yeah. And GG... Too much damage too fast. Yeah, very aggressive deck by Johnny Chu. Very interesting deck. So Johnny Chu goes on to 6-0. So Johnny then saying good luck in the top 8. Because of course Paul still didn't win this. He went 4-2 this round, but he won the overall cumulative retro league. So congrats to both players. Johnny for going 6-0. Paul for winning the 2024 Retro League for the 3rd time in a row. And so we'll see what happens tomorrow with Joe Horby and Ian Monteith. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. If Joe wins, then Johnny and Joe will face off in a sudden death. If Joe loses, then Johnny wins the tournament, and then I think strength of schedule will determine the second and third place, etc. But very, very fun match to watch. Both players played very good. Interesting decks from both players. So, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, fast game. Only 8 turns. Yeah, no problem. So tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific, Joe Horby facing off against Ian, who's C-Sticks on Gemp. Ian, I think, is Dark Side, Joe Light Side. Maybe I have that backwards. No, Ian is Dark Side. So look out for that. That'll be fun. And then very soon after that will be the Retro Online Championship Series Top 8. So keep an eye out for that on Slack, Discord, and the forums, and Gemp lobby chat as well. Yeah, thanks guys for joining, and I will see you on Gemp.